In today's video, I'm going to answer the top 5 most asked questions that you guys ask me about accounting, with the number one question being, do you need a CPA to be an accountant? Hi, I'm Kelly Randolph. I have worked in accounting for over 10 years now. I have worked at both Fortune 200 and Fortune 500 companies, and I'm currently a financial reporting manager. And to answer that question, you absolutely do not need a CPA to work in accounting. In fact, I personally don't recommend that you get your CPA until after you get your first accounting job. The reason being is because, one, you can decide if you even like accounting before you invest all the time and energy studying for the CPA and sitting for the exams. And then also another benefit to waiting to sit for the CPA until after you get your first accounting job is oftentimes your employer, when you decide you want to sit for the CPA, they will pay for your study materials, so your Becker CPA review material, and they'll pay for you to actually sit for the CPA, which will end up saving you thousands of dollars. So that alone makes it extremely beneficial to wait to sit for the CPA. So let's assume you like accounting and you decide that this is what you want to do for your career. When is it beneficial to sit for the CPA? And to answer that question, it really depends on your goals. If your goal is to be an accounting manager, you do not need a CPA. Take myself, for example. I'm currently a financial reporting manager and I do not have my CPA yet. And I know plenty of other accounting managers who work for extremely large companies who also do not have their CPA yet either. So if you want to be an accounting manager, from my experience, you do not need a CPA to get to this level. Let's say your goal is to make 6 figures. Do you need a CPA to make 6 figures? No, you do not. I currently make well over 6 figures and I, like I said, do not have my CPA. So if your goal is to be an accounting manager or if your goal is to make 6 figures, you do not need a CPA. Where a CPA becomes really beneficial, in my opinion, is when you want to get to those higher accounting positions. For example, if you want to be a director of accounting, you most likely will need your CPA. But until you get to thinking about becoming a director of accounting, I personally don't think you need your CPA. The second most asked question I get is, can you go to WGU University? Yes, you can definitely go to WGU or other online universities like WGU. But when you are looking at online universities, you just want to confirm 2 things. And those 2 things are that it's an accredited university and that the credit hours that you are getting from attending WGU or any other online university, those credit hours are going to be transferable to your CPA eligibility. So that way, when you decide you are ready to sit for the CPA and you have your transcript reviewed, you want to confirm that the hours you got count towards that goal of yours. So even though I said you don't need a CPA until you get to the higher levels, you do want to make sure when you're going to a university and spending all that time, energy, and money getting your bachelor's degree in accounting, that it is counting towards the 150 credit hours that you need for your CPA eligibility. A similar question that I get related to the WGU question is, what do hiring managers think about seeing candidates with WGU or an online university on their resume? Well, it's really going to come down to the hiring manager. For example, if I was reviewing your resume and I saw WGU, I personally wouldn't think one way or the other regarding that. The thing that I care about is that you have a bachelor's degree in accounting. However, there are some hiring managers that may prefer to see a more traditional school on a resume. So for example, they might want to see your state university on the resume or another university that they're familiar with. For example, if you went to a state university and the hiring manager is familiar with that state university and that specific accounting program has a good reputation in the area that you're from, that may reflect well on you when they see that on your resume because, okay, this candidate went to this university that I'm familiar with, and that's a well-known accounting program that I know is very credible. So because this person graduated from there, I know that they got a good education in accounting. But like I said, that's really just going to come down to the interviewer preference. The next question is, how much money do accountants make? Accountants actually make really good money. So if you're looking to make 6 figures, you can definitely do that working in accounting. It's probably not going to be your starting salary working in accounting. Entry-level accountants typically earn between $70,000 and $80,000. But as you continue to progress in your career, you can definitely hit that six-figure mark, and a lot of accountants earn over six figures. If you're liking this video so far, definitely give it a thumbs up. It lets me know that you like this type of content. The next question I get a lot is AI replacing accounting? No, AI is not replacing accounting. I know there's a lot of fear-mongering going on saying AI is replacing accounting, but that's not true. One, there's so many different types of accountants. So when someone makes a blanket statement like that, you really have to ask, like, what kind of accountant are you referring to? What task are you referring to? Because accounting is so complex and there's so many different areas in accounting, and there's so many rules, regulations, segregation of duties, SOX compliance requirements. It's just, you don't have to worry about AI replacing accounting, in my opinion. If you're in college and you're considering what type of degree should you get that is going to be more AI proof, I think that you want to look for positions that are not involving repetitive tasks. Where I see AI potentially affecting is going to be roles like potentially affecting, not saying that it's going to get rid of all these roles, but anything like accounts payable, accounts receivable, anything where it is involving more data entry. So if you're interested in accounting, you definitely should pursue it because accounting is a very stable career. There's a lot of opportunities. And like I said in the last question, it pays really well, especially as you continue to advance throughout your career. The final question that I'm going to answer is, where should you start your accounting career? A lot of times when we're in college, professors talk about working Big Four, audit, tax, and that's really all you hear about. Well, if you do want to go the Big Four route and work in audit or tax, I recommend that you work in audit. The reason being is what you'll learn in audit is going to be more general accounting, so it's going to be a lot more transferable as you continue to grow in your career. And let's say you want to leave audit, now you have a very solid transferable skill set that you could bring into corporate accounting. Whereas if you did tax is a lot more specialized, and so these skills and the things you'll be learning working in tax is going to be specialized and be related to tax. So let's say you don't like tax anymore and all your knowledge is in tax. When you want to transition out of tax and into a corporate position, it's going to be a lot harder for you to get a general accounting position. It's better to keep your experience more broad when you're first starting your accounting career, and that's why if you're choosing between audit and tax, I highly recommend you go the audit route. However, you also could go directly to corporate accounting, which I think is another very good option. And if you go directly to corporate accounting, then you should look for a larger public company in your area and try to work there. And I would recommend either working in just financial reporting or a corporate accounting position. And the reason being is because you're going to get really good broad general experience. And then if you are working for a larger company, that's going to carry a lot of brand recognition on your resume. So when you decide you want to leave that company, if you ever want to do that and you apply to another company, having a well-known company in your area on your resume is going to open a lot of doors for you in your future. Another reason it's beneficial to work at a more broad, larger, well-known company in your area is because a lot of times those companies have very good processes and procedures in place. And when you're first starting your accounting career, that's going to be really beneficial to you. If you are interested in getting a job in accounting, I now offer one-on-one consults. So definitely check that out in my bio. We can talk about your specific situation and what you need help with. So if you need resume help, interview help, or whatever type of accounting career questions you have, we can definitely talk about that one-on-one. So check out the link in my bio and the description below. Hopefully this video is helpful, and if it is, definitely give it a thumbs up. And if you have any other questions, leave them in the comments below, and I will be sure to try and answer them.